and every individual to the Wizard certification. Hi, my name is Mark Boersma on behalf of the Wizard today, and wow, oh my gracious, I hope you're all ready for a session that, if it seems like we're going over a lot of information in a very short period of time, the reason it seems that way is because we are. And so it's like drinking out of a fire hose. Hopefully you're keeping up and moving things forward. So we're going to start off with Rosanna today. And she had an amazing success that could turn into literally hundreds of thousands of dollars. And it was in an instant. It's in a moment. And this is where people don't understand. Like they just, I don't know. They just don't get it. The Wizard just shakes his head and is like, oh, you got to be joking. But people aren't. And so go ahead, Rosanna, and share, some of the things that what you had done.
So I made some calls in the last week, and when I was making the calls, the person didn't seem like they were interested in a 30-minute strategy session. They didn't want to, they just want to get off the phone. And I said, just before they got off the phone, the one lady I talked to, I said, hey, can I just ask you one quick question? What's the biggest challenge you have in your business? And she was like, wow, that's really cool. She told me what her biggest challenge was. And I said, a 30-minute strategy session would really help you because the question I just asked, there are more of those, and those can help your business, and they can help the way you even think about asking other people that you want to have your customers. So she agreed to the 30-minute strategy session. That was my first win. And the second one is I called a man, and he was seeming like he wanted to get off the phone. He was really busy. He didn't want to do a 30-minute. I know all that. I've been in business for, 25, 30 years. He says, I'm really not interested in that. I says, well, sir, can I just ask you a quick question? What's your biggest challenge you're having right now? And he told me he was looking at transitioning out of his business. And I said, well, I know the person that could talk to you. And just asking the biggest challenge of these two people helped them to be interested because it was a good question.
And, the second gentleman, I talked to him for 45 minutes, have another appointment tomorrow with him. He wants to bring us on right away. Hey, can I do a short-term engagement right now with you guys? Because I got two people, operations managers, that, I'm kind of between the two, and I'm not sure, and I'd love to have an outside perspective. So could we do something, right away? That gentleman came from email marketing, and Rosanna just cold calling him on a click, like just a database, and he clicked on something, and she followed up. And so most people doing a 30-minute strategy session, the hard part is often getting that 30-minute strategy session. You've got to engage. Well, how are you going to get people to raise their hand? And he was specifically targeted as a business. He's at 28 million, wants to grow it to 50 million. He's got about 50 employees. And so he wants to go ahead and double his business, go from 28 to 50 million. And so he's very, very specifically targeted. So when we talk about getting your two art buddies, you identify the targets, box 1, and then you develop and deliver a message, box 2. If you can't do that for this course, well, then you probably aren't going to be able to do it for your own business. And so awesome success. This is why it's, worth the $50 million you're putting in, to the certification. It's because of these things. See, most courses, most classes, most certifications, you go, you get a piece of paper, but do you really know anything? I mean, do you really do anything? Matt, you had said that you went through your workbook and you were impacted, by that. What was it that had the biggest impact for you on the workbook?
When I went through, it was really looking at insight selling and really what that meant in the type of questions we need to be asking. And it was, I think, and I know for me personally, it was always me looking for a solution to present to them, asking questions to get there. But brilliance is knowing enough or being enough ahead and asking enough questions where you lead them to seeing the solution. And once they see that, then they know, hey, this guy can help me get there, because they may not know how to get there. And that was really eye-opening for me.
Nice. So when we look at it, the last two questions that you ask is the second to the last question. Is there any other questions we should have asked that we didn't ask? Any additional information we should know that we don't know? Now, Nancy Wirtz, she joined it because she has this gift that her husband, Alan, has seen in her. She's got this magical capability of connecting with people, but it's, I guess, not all the time, or it's not like it just happens periodically, or I'm not sure what it is. But Alan said, how could she have that happen at will? And, and I'm like, oh, the Wizard's, certification for sure. Go ahead and do that. So isn't it crazy? Like most of us, that are going through the course, we're thinking about money. I mean, Nancy cares so much about other people that she's willing to invest $50 million to change people's lives. Like, that's just awesome. So when we look at this, don't just think of this as business, but think of this in every area of your life. Friends, family, everything. So after you're asking them all the questions, the second to last question is, so, is there any other questions that I should have asked that I didn't ask, or any additional information that I should know that I don't know? There's an absolute science behind that question. Now, you don't need to know the science behind that question to ask that question. But if you're an analytic, or you're not a very trusting person, you want to understand the science. But you don't need to understand the science. Just trust the Wizard. The Wizard's got this whole thing figured out. Just do what the Wizard tells you to do, when he tells you to do it, how he tells you to do it, do the great attitude. It's really simple, and you'll get a lot further, a lot faster, because there's so many other things that you need to learn. So you listen to them, and if they share anything, then you go back and you ask the same question. Oh, that's great. Tell me more. And then you go through and say, so is there any other questions that I should have asked that I didn't ask, or any additional information I should know that I don't know? Until they say, nope, I think you've got it covered, you keep asking that question over and over again. Very few times is going to happen more than, a couple times, because of how the 14 minutes are designed and engineered. The last question is, you go, oh, great. Do you have any questions for me? Now, this is what Matt's referring to. Because if you do all the other things, they're going to ask you, yeah, what's next? And so you're not trying to push a solution on them. They're, by that time, they're interested. Awesome. The other thing that Matt had shared is he was intrigued by the question where it went and said, how much money, I, Mark Boersma, put your name in there, believe I need to earn whatever to put myself into a position where I will have the ability to give $50,000. Actually pay. It's not give. It should be pay. And I will start to give, or maybe pay, X a month to get started. See, the $50 million, some people that don't last in the program don't take that serious. They're like, oh, that's not serious. But obviously they're not going to last in the program. Like, you're serious about paying that $50 million, obviously. Like, you owe it. You got to do it. But how much money would you need to make? Would you need to make $51 million? $52 million? $500 million? Like, how much money would you need to make to pay that $50 million? That will reveal a lot. And so that impacted Matt. Matt, anything else you got?
Not on this. I have another question later in the call, though.
Jill, what would you like to share with us?
I think that
so one of the things that Jill's working on is, into this, because people, again, they're paying $50 million. And so one of the things is being a professional speaker, Jill, is you want to give people the illusion that you have confidence and you think things through and you've mapped things out and you understand things when you don't understand them. So that's one of the things the Wizard taught me how to do. You know, it's you fake it till you make it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So what you want to do is you guys want to be ready when you're called on. You want to make sure that you anticipate, you can see, hey, I'm going to be called on. You want to see that before it happens. Then you want to make sure you're off mute. So as soon as that happens, you want to have a response. I don't know what that response is. I mean, it could be like, Mark, this is amazing. My mind is blowing. Like maybe you're not amazed. Maybe your mind's not blown, but that's okay. You know, it's totally okay to say that. And that buys you time to think about it, to go through it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So have you had any successes, Jill? Have you moved anything forward?
I have not moved anything forward. I've contacted several people, but I have not got them to a 30-minute strategy session.
Do you know what Matt's thinking right now, Jill?
Why not?
No, he's not thinking that, Jill. That's what I'm thinking.
Oh, okay.
Yes, but I'm not really thinking that because I know why you're not. So, Matt, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking, why didn't she up and out about that?
Okay. Like, what was she supposed to up and out about?
About what she had done, and then maybe the challenge she had with that.
Okay.
So that we had an idea of what that was and could help move her along.
Okay. Interesting. Anybody know what I'm thinking now? Well, let's go back. Let's close the loop. What was I thinking before? I mean, why didn't Jill really accomplish anything? It's because she's got a pathetic mentor. Like, the mentor's pathetic. Like, dump him. Like, get a new one in there. Like, he's pathetic. Like how could he be only leading two people? It's not like he's got 7 kids. I mean, he's got 2 people. Like, and he sees them like every week and talks to them. Like, how could he possibly go ahead and not make sure that his 2 art buddies are driving things forward? Like, doesn't he care? What is he? Sloppy, lazy, indisciplined, pathetic? Like, that's craziness. I just feel bad for Jill.
Me too.
Yeah. Does anyone have any questions?
I do.
How would you help her if he doesn't know?
Go ahead, Jill.
Well, I agree with that 100%. That was my failure, and Matt can't help me unless I.
That's not true. If I was your mentor, trust me, you'd have accomplished something.
What would you have done different?
Oh, I'd have leveraged the living daylights out of it. I'd be like, you want to go ahead and mentor young men? Are you kidding? I don't want you mentoring young men. My gracious. You go a whole week without doing anything? They're going to end up, you mentor them, they're going to end up like weak, pathetic men. They're not going to be leaders. They're going to be terrible. For sure, don't mentor young men if you're not going to get something done. There's so many young men out there now that don't know how to do anything. You're just going to contribute to the problem.
Okay.
Would have that worked?
Probably.
Right. It's leverage, because that's heart. It's deep in your heart. You know, it's deep in your heart that you want to help young men and that you're good and capable at it and stuff like that. And so that's where I'm gonna leverage something near and dear to your heart. I'm gonna say, no, you can't do what you think you can do. No, you're not good enough. No, you're not strong enough. No, you're not ready to do that.
And you,
questions?
yeah, and you would have gotten results because you would have hit me right exactly like between the eyes.
Right. So that's what a good mentor, a good art mentor knows these things. They know their two buddies better than their buddies know themselves.
I have a lot of work to do.
We all do. But you're in a humble place, and that's a great place to be where you're going to learn. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm modeling to Matt, like I'm not cutting him any slack. Like, you got to go ahead and step up. You got to make sure that your two are buddies, like they're a reflection of you. This is one of the things I love about being a grandparent. If my grandkids turn out good, then it's because of me. If they turn out bad, it's because of their parents. Same thing here. I mean, it's the same thing here. If Rosanna and Jill turn out great, it's because of me. Well, you're not even on there. No, I know, but I'm Matt's art mentor. So if they turn out good, it's because of me. If they turn out bad, it's because of Matt. I mean, that's why it's great being a grandfather. Like, this art system has so much genius in it, it's crazy. Now what I'm also demonstrating is to Rosanna and Jill that Matt needs to expect the same thing from them. Like, he has to expect the same thing. And so, Rosanna, how did you do with Mark Reynolds and Nancy Virts?
I did not touch base with them this last week. Week before I did. Not this last week.
Da, 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 da.
What's that for?
It's for Matt. Like, what is he, asleep? Like, Matt.
I thought you were going to model what to do next.
Oh, my gracious. Matt's got this disability that's huge. It's like, okay, you got to be modeled. Rosanna, are you pathetic? Like, my gracious. Like, what is wrong with you? Like, what? Like, do you not care about Mark Reynolds or Nancy? Are you so self-centered, self-absorbed that you think you're the only person? Like, I thought you had kids and grandkids. I thought you cared about other people. Can you not care about two people? Like, that's crazy insane how pathetic you are. I mean, it's
You're
like,
right. I'm sloppy and...
I mean, are you like an art orphan? Do you not even have a mentor, like no parent? Were you raised on the streets? Like, do you not have any mentoring or leadership from people above? Like, oh my gracious, my heart goes out to you. You're an art orphan. Like, that's crazy. We're going to come up with a whole new, like, we're going to have art DCSF. Like, I'm going to take that art buddy and take it away from that parent. That is an irresponsible parent. My gracious. It's just letting them wander. Like, Matt, did you do that with your kids when they were toddlers and just let them walk outside, in the middle of the street?
No.
What, you thought Rosanna was more than a toddler? You thought that she would be able to, follow through on these two?
No. I think I'm just lazy and sloppy and undisciplined.
Well, there's not a question of that. Double it. Cubed. Jill, how do you do with Don Crozier and Teresa?
I did not connect with them during the week.
What? My gracious, what do you guys do all week? Like, this is crazy. Oh, my gracious. Wow. And Don's not even on today.
Actually, I did connect with both of them about...
Okay, now you're confusing me. Did you or didn't you? Because one minute you didn't, another minute you did. I don't know what is reality. My guess is it might not have been the most intentional connection you've ever had in your life.
Okay. I did connect with them about the speaking engagement. I did not connect them about the 30-minute strategy session.
Can anybody translate that for me?
I didn't do my job, Mark.
Okay? Or you're right, Mark. You know, it's not the most intentional because Jill didn't do the combination principle. Like, probably Jill, nobody explained to her, probably her parent never did. My gracious, these two poor orphaned arts. But like, you can do more than one thing, Jill, you know, when you talk to somebody. Jill's like, oh my gracious, I never knew that. Like, I didn't see that in the rules anywhere. No, it's true. You can actually think going through it. Teresa, awesome that you're on. You're in the Ripple 3 here, or Ripple 2 here. What do you have for us today, Teresa?
Today you wanted me to bring up our call on Friday.
Oh my gracious! Like Teresa does something. She would be my great granddaughter in this situation here. You know what? It's cool to see that, you know, the great granddaughter is doing better than my child. Like, that's what I hope with my 7 kids. Like, I have failed as a parent, but maybe my great-grandchildren will rescue me from my pathetic parenting. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead, Teresa.
So yeah, we felt that it would be good to bring it on this call to share the lessons that were covered or discovered there.
And what are they?
Well, one, I was trying to reflect. Fill me in if I missed something too. But one was at the end, if, you know, you get through the 30-minute and they can't afford something, to ask, okay, so if I could help you get or solve your biggest challenge or help you get to your goal of whatever it is, what budget do you have per week or per month that would work for you?
Nice.
And then try to fit that into something that could work just to help them move forward in some way.
Because Teresa and I are such generous people, we are two of the nicest people on the planet. If you don't believe us, just ask Teresa, and she'll tell that about me. And if ask me about Teresa, and I'll tell her about Teresa. Obviously, you can't ask me about me or Teresa about Teresa because we're so humble that we would obviously say we're not the nicest people, but we are if you ask one another. So when we do a 30-minute and we don't convert them to a prospect for us, then what we do is we look for somebody in our art team, our art tree, and we say, hey, why don't I go ahead and set it up for them? So if you get the sense that they can't afford your product or service line, then you ask them and say, you know, hey, if, in this conversation that we have today, and this is in the first 14 minutes, if there's a way that we could help you, someone could help you with your biggest challenge, what you'd love help on, you repeat that. You don't say biggest challenge. Like, there's some people maybe socially autistic that take the course, and so we got to be a little bit more clear with them. So you got to insert their biggest challenge. You have to insert what they'd love help with. Then they think you actually care about them. They actually think you're listening to them. Like, wow, they're listening to me. What they'd like to change about themselves, their wow income goal, getting their hours from here to here. You repeat back essentially the first 3 minutes of questions and say, if anybody could help you with that, what budget range do you think you might have to be able to invest into that? What would be a low end and what might be, the top end for you? And so what you're doing is you're setting that up because you have, there's some, like, Alan and Nancy, people need to say, $1 million or something like that. I don't know, 250, 300, 400, up to $1 million plus. So it's a pretty high. So there's a lot of people that, don't have, they're not going to be able to afford Al and Nancy. So they're going to talk to a lot of people. They're going to talk to a lot of people that are not going to be in a position to afford their product line. But if Alan and Nancy dish them to somebody else in their art team, their art tree, well, then they haven't wasted the 30 minutes of the person or themselves. All right, we're going to come back to Teresa's second one, so make sure you get that down because that's really important. In Life Masteries, they have things all the way from free, but that people don't get value on because they don't put anything into it. But I don't know, $5, $10 a month. They have things that are so low that it's like, okay, this is what you can do with $5 a month. So there's something that anybody can afford. We're going to swing back around to Teresa in a second on her second piece. Alan, Nancy, anything you would like to accomplish today?
I'm thinking. No.
Okay. Teresa, your second piece was?
For me, at least, it was about learning how to identify who might move and who doesn't so that you spend your energy on the right people.
So what Teresa's talking about is kind of a gut feel, and it's developed over time. Some people develop it faster, some struggle with it more. So it's like an instinct. It's like every time you do it, so you pursue people that sometimes don't work out and you reflect on why that is. And then there's other times you pursue people that do convert, and why is that and how do I reduce it? So I've had some literally that have been a 5-year sales cycle. It's like, oh, that's a long time. So that's something that's just developed continually where you're always looking at how do I go ahead and learn that. That's a great question. We need to go through and talk about that more. On the new version of the workbook, the GAR, Goal Action Review, connected into Engineered Clarity, and so it's going through is what do I want to accomplish specifically, clearly from this course or certification? How much time outside of the classroom will you invest into taking action from what is learned, additional study learning time? Do you have any experiences in starting something and not following through? Why? Other than you're paying $50 million, will you follow through on this when you haven't on other things? Do you have any type of mind pathology, way of thinking, which is telling you this might not work? Why will I commit to never miss a lesson and or an assignment? And then we're doing work in leverage on internalization, surface memory, deep memory, and then reflex. And so probably next week, you guys will have all of this studied. You guys will have this printed out. You'll put it in your 3-ring binder. You'll go through this. You'll come prepared next week. Not to regurgitate what's on here, but actually today, tomorrow, you'll print it out, go through, do this, and then the rest of the week, you're going to apply what you're learning here. And so the lacrosse plus the inner city principle from Dave Libby is balls against the wall. It's how to build reflexes. It's going over and over again and again, over and over again and again, and being able to do it. So as promised, we've gone over a lot of information, very short period of time. Make sure you're going into the members only section, really important. Watch your 2 buddies, help them. If your art mentor, like, poor Rosanna and Jill, Matt, he slipped. So sometimes your art mentor, like, they're not perfect. They're not God. Shoot, they're not even a wizard. So they're going to make some mistakes. So you don't just go and, be served by them, but you serve them too. Like, you don't want them to get in a situation like, Rosanna and Jill, like, oh my gracious. They're probably more upset about what happened to Matt than Matt is today. So you want to protect one another for the mutual benefit of everyone. And always remember, we can accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. God bless. Have a great day. Bye-bye.